Welcome to LBM Flash Moments with Phil Fornaro.
Hello, everyone. This is Phil Fornaro, and this is LBM Flash Moments. And haven't done these for a couple, probably about a week or so. Been really busy, moving around, doing a lot of different things, getting organized at Fornaro Law. And but Lightbulb Moments, I'm pretty excited to say we've got an ever expanding team. And what's so important about the team is that they're all in. And it's funny because to have people inspired by something that you're doing and then they make it even better is a wonderful thing. So love that. I'm going to thank Vera, Dan, Valerie. Of course, Valerie is most important of all these groups. She drives everything. Sarah, Michaela, Sumitra, Molly. Probably more that I'm missing here, but we're growing as a team, and that's important because the more that we have people involved, the more our bright community benefits from it. So a couple different stories that happened. I wanted to start off with a positive note of these things. I had a individual. I used to do a lot of residential real estate in my day, and we worked with Citywide Title, a wonderful title company. We worked together during the downturn and after. The only reason our relationship ended with that business is because we stopped doing residential real estate. We switched to commercial, and we had a long-standing relationship with Old Republic and sometimes Chicago Title. And Patrick just dropped in randomly, see how I was doing, and that's a nice thing to do. Is remember, this is not what this podcast is about. We'll get to what it's about in a second, but today, basically, what happened is he just ran a random drop in, and it's okay. I mean, people get aggravated. Oh, I'm busy. This, that. I don't want people to drop in. However, it's important. He felt like he saw my sign. He saw, he wanted to stop by for a while. He wanted to reconnect with me. I go, well, of course, come on in. So he came in, and I wasn't available at the time, but he left his card, and I called him back. Like I will do, always. If I know the person or if someone wants needs their assistance, of course. And next thing I know, I call him and we start talking about a whole bunch of stuff. And we had a good relationship, but it was kind of a nice thing to sort of reconnect at a level that was different than business. And we've talked about this as personal. Business is not personal. You learn to be personally connected with somebody, and then you get to the next step. So I heard a lot of things I didn't know about him, and I actually invited him to our emerging entrepreneur event at the end of May of 2026, and it was nice to see that I could help him in a variety of ways, and gave him some ideas on his future. And it was nothing other than a simple conversation. So have those simple conversations. And if someone drops by, don't always immediately have the reaction of, I'm too busy or I can't deal with that person. Every conversation leads to something good. Just remember that. All right. The next story, which is fabulous, sort of sets the stage of what I'm going to talk about today. But my dear friend Scott Richrath, who I've known since third grade, he came in. He by the time we hear this one, I don't think he'll have been on the podcast. But we reconnected on the podcast. I was sending him a phone number each day. Every year he had his birthday, March 13th, and I would text him. He'd never respond. I go, oh man, he's probably mad at me. Last year I called one of my other buddies, Tony Janig. I said, hey, what's Rich Rat's number? And he gave it to me. He goes, oh. So I had been texting the wrong number with his birthday for like 7 years in a row. So go figure. You never know what's going to happen. So he responded. He says, oh, thank you for the birthday. We reconnected. We talked for a little while. I said, I'd jump on the podcast and let him listen to Pete Troost, which was a great podcast in its own right. And he says, yeah, I'll be on. And so he was on, and then he happened to be in town. He flew in the area, and we sat down, and we had a great lunch at Ella's in Western Springs, and talked, and it was great. And I never expect things to go in the ways that they go, especially when I'm reconnecting with someone after a long period of time. And when I keep on telling you, I keep on telling the bright community, I keep on telling you guys, you gotta reconnect. Just do it. And the worst thing they could do is they won't call you back, but I bet you they will, especially if you had a long-standing relationship that just sort of separated for a little while. And we have an earlier podcast that talks about reconnection, but just I want to tell you for the third time, and I know I'm being repetitive, just make the call. And it was great. So we sat down, we talked about his life, my life, And then he kept on pressing me on light bulb moments and our bright community and all the things that I'm doing now. And he listened intently, and he came up with the concept of, you know, you live in mazes, and you try to get out of the maze. You try to maximize the maze and then get out of the maze. And I go, oh, that's interesting. He goes, now with what you're doing with light bulb moments in the bright community, you've expanded the maze, but you've created the maze. So you have designed the maze rather than being, contained within some other, the law, let's say real estate, etc. We're creating our own maze here, bright community. You guys are part of what we're creating. So the maze keeps on going, but the beautiful things are is other people now are helping us build the maze. The bright community is helping us build the maze. And when we build this maze, there's all sorts of opportunities to get out there into various areas. And I know some people are going, this guy's getting corny, and in his 200 plus episodes, he was starting to lose it. But no, I really believe in this, and I felt inspired by it. It doesn't matter if it's corny to everyone that's listening to it now. It matters that it was important to me. And the funny thing is I can keep on building the maze, and I don't want to get out of this maze. I want to stay in it because there's so many ways to figure out, so many different avenues to go, so many different lanes. It just becomes something very powerful, and then everybody else can come in if you participate in the spark line or you call one of our guests and connect somewhere else in the world. That's great. That's the exact idea. Is that jump in and be part of this special thing that we're creating here at Lightbulb Moments, and you'll love it, and I guarantee it. And maybe you'll have some of these light bulb moments like I do, throughout my day. And that's another concept is that because of the fact that I'm having these light bulb moments, I've always had them. I'm just recognizing them now. So the more you recognize these light bulb moments, the more you'll be in tune with yourself and learn more about yourself, and get some great guidance along the way. Well, that was a rather lengthy intro. However, let's talk a little bit about what I always want to talk about today. Uh, oh, funny thing happened yesterday before I get another. This is what did Jeff even called it, a LBM divergence or something like that. Anyway, I was talking to my wife yesterday. We're planning a trip, and I said, hey, because she was going around and around. I said, listen, Anne Marie, ask ChatGPT. It's all set. Ask ChatGPT. So she wouldn't do it. So I grabbed the computer, not aggressively. She handed it to me, and I said, where do I get this? Because we're going to go overseas. Where do I get this hair curling thing? Because it's hard because you bring equipment, and maybe this is a light bulb moment. If you bring equipment from the United States, it doesn't always work real well, or it doesn't handle the electricity well. It's better to buy the equipment in the country. So, I guess she was looking for a Sephora, and, back and forth. So I said, oh, hold on. So I did some research, and found it, a couple different options for her, and handed it back to her. And it was just having this little tiff about Sephora, and I go, I didn't even know what Sephora is, but here it is, and it worked out really well because now she got the plan, and of course it's very stressful going overseas and planning these things, but now she's got a path forward. So Anne Marie, I think we're in line now. We'll be shopping at Sephora very soon. All right, so now let's get to it. So I was at one of my peer group meetings, and here we're going to talk about how things can change your life rather quickly. We sort of talked about that with Scott in terms of the reflection right away, but this is sort of transforming me. So as you know, I'm really big into what's called relationship capital. It's this what we build over time. You can build financial capital, by going to your job, building businesses, investing in the stock market. Financial capital, things that you can invest back in. There's social capital. I'm sort of aligned with the fact that what I'm building here with light bulb moments and through Fornaro and through my whole life, didn't realize until about a month ago chatting with ChatGPT. It's relationship capital. We are really, really sort of poisoning ourselves to growing something larger than ourselves here at Light Bulb Moments. So I was sitting at an event with Phil Fulton, who's episode number two, and he always brings in great speakers. And if you can find someone like Phil Fulton, go find them, or actually just go find Phil Fulton. He has such great connections, and he's sneaky good, as I said, I think in the episode, because of the fact that he really listens, and he goes, he brings good people to talk to us, and it doesn't always resonate, but it resonates a lot. And when it does resonate, these people really just sort of transform how I operate. And this time he brings in two gentlemen, Dennis Killerman, and I forgot the other guy's name. It's not Dennis Killerman, it's Dennis. Anyway, he brought these two guys in that did a. Here, I'm going to pause for a second. Let me get the names of the people, and then we'll fix this. Don't forget to fix this turnkey. Okay, we're going to start from here. All right. So he brought in two people to speak, and they were from the PDA board, and basically it's the ability to get people to act on boards. So it was Dennis Kessler and Jay Hellebrum. So I went and said, "Hey guys, can I have a meeting with you?" So he invited me to lunch. We went to lunch and we talked about board positions. And as you know, and I've mentioned it before, I think when we talked to Dave Johnson on one of the episodes, he's been on many boards. I said, it's sort of my goal is to be on the board. He says, but it's sometimes difficult to be on a board. So when I talked to Dennis, he said, yeah, there's way more board. There are way more people looking to be on a board position than there are actual board positions. So I said, "Oh, that's interesting. It's okay. I'm not in a hurry. I'll build it." And there's a lot of people that are trying to get on boards, and that's good too. So I said, "Listen, I want to be on a board, but it's a long play." So I said, "Okay, that's one part of it. The other part is I have a lot of clients that generally are in the industry that may need independent board seats. People that can come on and help with governance, help with growth, help with scaling, all these things we talk about on the podcast." So I said, "That's cool too. I just want to learn more about you." But then I said, listen, I've got this whole new model, with our outside general counsel model, turning it into a product, for the law, changing how law is practiced. I've got light bulb moments, of course, and I've got our Bright community, and we have Bright coming your way in the future, which will be a separate concept that we're developing now with Dan and Vera and Valerie. And the concept is that, hey, wait, maybe a board position would work for us because we're starting. And so we have a little different situation where we don't have to worry about raising capital, that we're just, our expenses are what they are, but we're growing it together, and we have capital from some of the things that we do to sort of help grow our business. So what the problem that was solving for is that I need somebody who's seen a startup, because I've been through some startups, and I've grown businesses, but not at this level, not with this technology, not with what we need to do and grow and so forth. So I said, what about a board member for me? And I explained the concept, and he goes, oh yeah, we just started a program. I go, oh my God, this is great. I go, let's talk about it. So now we're in line to do it. He sent me an application to post, on their website, on their portal, and filled it out. And he said, well, first, send me a letter of what you're all about. So I got all excited. It was a Friday afternoon. That night I went in, I plugged into ChatGPT. I said, here's all the things that I talked about. Here's what my goals are. You already know about me, Chat. Go ahead and write me the letter, and then write sort of a description of what we're looking for. And we're not getting to the point of the podcast yet, but just the story will get us there. The idea was, they said that this will be a good fit. Let's go ahead and start the process. So one meeting that I listened to, one email, and one lunch, and now I sort of have a platform to help grow all the things that we're doing, and helping the Bright community and light bulb moments sort of develop even further than it is. And all the ideas and all the visions in my head are allowing it to grow, right? And I've always had the problem. Now here's where we're going to get into the light bulb moment. As I talk and I see all these people that can help me, I go, wait a minute. The person I'm describing is myself. To help the how I help people is what I'm asking someone else at a board independent board position to do for me. Now let me sort of explain because it's a little confusing. I consider myself a visionary in certain areas, right? I explore, I create options. I'm always constantly figuring things out. I have lots and lots of content. I can produce information. I can connect with people. All these things I do as part of my life as a visionary are different than what I do as my life as an OGC attorney, an outside general counsel attorney. I do all the things to help them make their understand what questions to ask, what constraints that they need to put on, how do they do governance, how do they have risk management, how do they eliminate obstacles in their lives. So that part of my life is different than my visionary part of my life. I am very adept at helping businesses come in on their whole life cycle, help them at any part of their life cycle and grow their business, help them learn their business. And I'm a problem solver in that regard. But on the visionary side, I'm not. So I said, huh. And of course, like everything else, I went back to chat and said, what's going on here? I'm feeling crazy. And the idea is that if you have the two skill sets that conflict with each other, what Chet said is that you're conflicted. You're trying to vision. You're thinking in the future. You're growing, and you're not stopping. And then at the same time, you've got to be like sort of the governor on a truck, slowing, not allowing it to go as fast, and slow it down, and make different decisions, and saying, oh, you better wait and think about that. So your mind is fighting each other. Fighting itself. It's not each other. Your mind is fighting itself, saying, "Yeah, let's do this." The other one goes, "Well, maybe not." And it's like you have this like dual personality. It's like the old devil over one shoulder and angel over the other. They're battling it out, and your mind is. I mean, it's exactly that. There's a light bulb moment. I never thought I'd use that. I didn't even think about that for 30 years. Anyway, so they're as they're fighting, you can't get anything done, and you're sort of stagnating yourself because both sides are right. So this is the beautiful thing. Here's the light bulb moment, Bright Community. Think about this at a different level when you're thinking about what you're good at. It's not always that you're good at just one thing. And the way that you deal with yourself is sometimes different than the way you deal with others. And how people deal with you when you're a visionary, or as opposed when you're their leader or their business side of the equation, or their boss or their supervisor. It's two different things. And I think that's important to sort of reflect on when you're getting aggravated during a day when you're not getting exactly to the point that you want to get to. So the most freeing thing is to get to the point where you can offload or give someone else that responsibility and quit being the two people, be the one person, whatever it may be. With my clients, I have to be that other person, right? I have to help them, but I can get into the visionary stage a little bit to help them vision, but it's still with that constraints and structure. But when I'm on the other end, I find I'm the most happy when I'm just exploring and going and not having to implement the ideas or check myself. And I love it when someone comes in and checks me and says, "Hey, you know what? You're moving too fast, or this is not working right." Mary Bright from my office is very good at that, stopping me and saying, "Hey, slow down a little bit. Maybe you're not thinking about this the right way." So that's the point. Is it was very exciting. It's like because I'm doing this podcast and I'm thinking about this more, and I got to tell you, people are opposed to AI, but it's really sort of transformed me. And I know I've talked about this a gazillion times, but every time I think it's, sort of done transforming me, something else will happen. So I'm so excited now. I'm going to start to let go more when I'm dealing with light bulb moments. I'm going to let others sort of take control, take the wheel, and I'm going to just do what I need to do to get the content out. And then however it sort of develops and our team develops, I mentioned them earlier, I'm very confident they're going to develop, and maybe we'll get a nice board position, someone that's scaled companies before, someone that's, just retired or just not wanting to be involved in the day-to-day grind, but want to help in interesting projects such as light bulb moments. All right. Uh, I, I just checked something real quick here. Here were some of the words. I wrote the words now. I don't want to sort of kill the concept here, but this is what chat said. The person who creates the most opportunities is the worst person to filter them. So I'll read it one more time. The person who creates the most opportunities is the worst person to filter them. That's beautiful. I think I'm going to put that poster on the wall because that's what I always try to do. I'm the worst. I'm the best at one thing and the worst at the other. So I'm being both. Um, and it said this was very interesting, and maybe it's trying to turn me into AI. It says, I am no longer the advisor, with my law firm. I am the system. I am providing the energy and I'm providing the output. I am involved in all of this. I do not need to be the person paying attention to it. So it's basically I got to hire my own OGC. But anyway, it's pretty funny and it's very powerful. And I actually had I started off a little odd on this podcast, but I think that at the end of that really made me happy to talk about that, talk that through because it sort of gave me clarity, and I'll give more responsibility to our team. All right. So tomorrow we're going to talk to Joseph Hargrove and Peter Heinrich from Merrill Wealth and Private Wealth Management. And they're wealth advisors, and they talk about a lot of things. We talk a lot about family offices, liquidity needs. I snuck in a gambling story with my son Jack Fornaro and me in Iowa at the gambling thing. That's pretty interesting. But we talk about doing business with people that you like. Don't always go with the fad and the prediction market. Stay tried and true. Stay with a plan and a strategy. Involve yourself in diversification, and plan ahead with your professionals. That's really important now that we're exiting tax season. Now don't just close the door because you filed your tax return. Go ahead and move it forward and start getting a cadence with your professionals for next year or for this year. All right, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow for another positive day of illuminating thoughts and light bulb moments. Keep it bright. Take care, everyone.